Hey YouTube. Um, I started work this Monday, which has been really cool. It's mostly, I'm still telecommuting from home. I will move into my new apartment in Dallas next weekend, but for right now, I'm telecommuting, basically doing all the onboarding stuff, um, things like that. But what I do want to talk about is interviewing while trans. Because I know for a lot of people, um, interviewing during transition seems pretty difficult, and you're not always sure if you should be interviewing as kind of your assigned gender or as your target gender, I guess. And I think that um, you should really just be interviewing however you're most comfortable, because if you're conscious about how you look, what the interviewer is thinking about you, then I think that will ultimately affect how you interview. You'll come across as less confident, more nervous, basically less likely to be hired, I think, than if you're more comfortable now. Granted, when I was sort of in that androgynous phase, I think that my appearance didn't necessarily help, because I was really almost at the point of switching presentation, and like I just didn't have any energy around it because I was just kind of nervous, apprehensive, whatever. But after, switching the presentation, my interviews started going really well. I made it to a lot of final rounds. I ended up getting a total of 3 job offers, and doing lots of interviews. I think one thing also was in the beginning, interviewing over the phone was a little bit more difficult because my voice, right now, even over the phone, is pretty, I guess, gender neutral at best. And in the beginning, it was much worse. So people would go to do a phone interview and they'd say, "Oh, I was expecting to talk to a girl," or because at this point I had legally changed my name, so I was using a new name on my resume. And then once I got the letter from my doctor, I was able to get a new passport. Then I started using gender. So for me, doing the application forms, I know this is one question that I've seen a lot of people pose, and because almost every single company will reserve the right to terminate you if you lie at any point during the application process, I would use whatever your legal name is. You can always change sort of that preferred name and then use whatever your identification says your gender is, because if that comes up later, that's a fireable offense, even if everything else is okay. Like if they wanted to, they could, even though now technically trans is supposed to be protected as a working class, so you can't be fired for being trans or transitioning on the job or anything like that, according to the Equal Opportunity Employment Office or whatever. But you still have to prove that discrimination occurred, which can be really difficult to do during the hiring process. It's a little bit easier, I think, after you have a job, but it's still kind of difficult to say this is why you got fired versus something else. And when in doubt, like, you can sort of see what company policies are around that. So my employer does have transition guidelines, which basically talk about presenting however kind of where you want to be. And then it even goes into bathroom usage, like when you can start using the other bathroom, and then what employees who have a problem with that should do or whatever. So, like, obviously getting a trans-friendly employer makes things a lot easier. But, yeah. Let's see. I know that there is a lot of employers out there who have trans coverage, and so if you're trying to get a surgery, like, that's something that you're probably going to need to talk to your manager about. You're going to need to talk to the appropriate HR benefits person, just to make sure that you time it well. You use your vacation or your sick days or both, depending on the surgery, things like that. But yeah, I think that the way business is going, it's a lot easier now to transition at work, and it's a lot easier to get a job as a trans person. That by no means makes it easy, but if you dress appropriately, if you dress professionally, if you go and you're confident and you know how to interview well, then I don't think you're really gonna have too much trouble. And so, like, in terms of how much makeup you would use, like, make it professional. Like, I would interview like this, even. It kind of looks like it's not quite even, but yeah, like, I mean, in the beginning I interviewed only with eyeliner up top, and then I decided that I kind of like this look the best, so this is how I interview, this is how I'm most comfortable. Probably wouldn't wear this shirt, and I would wear a suit, obviously, instead, but, like, it's really not that different, and I know it's a big kind of mind fuck to interview as a new gender for the first time, and there are some awkward moments. Like, I did have one interviewer kind of ungender me, so he didn't say, like, take her out to the parking lot or walk her back to her car or anything like that. He said, take Danny back, and, like, there was a pause there where I'm pretty sure he was trying to figure out if he should gender me or not, or maybe he was trying to remember my name. I don't know. Like, it just seemed like an unnatural sentence, and so that was kind of weird, but for the most part, I had a really good experience. I also had a good resume and a good education, which obviously really helps a lot. But yeah, so if you have specific questions, you can leave them in the comments and I'll try to answer them.